We have learned about two-dimensional shapes. You have all of your squares, rectangles, whatever, area and perimeter, in addition to circle, area, and circumference. Those are all two-dimensional shapes. Three-dimensional shape, we talked about cube, rectangular prism, cubes, volume, side to the third power, rectangular prism, volume, length, width, height. Cube's surface area is 6 times side squared, and rectangular prism surface area 2 times length height plus 2 times width height plus 2 times length height. And today our next three-dimensional shape, we are going to talk about volume is a cylinder. A cylinder is like your Coke can, or like the paper towel that's on your table, or like a toilet paper roll. Those are all cylinders. So volume of a cylinder is its base times its height. So you need to find its base. Oh, its base area. Sorry, my bad. It's the area of the base. The base is a circle. The area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. So that means the volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi r squared h. So let's see here. Recognize its radius. Figure out what the height is. The height is this length. And that's your formula. So like I said the other day, plug and chug. Get your formula and then substitute the letters you do know, the numbers that you know for the letters that it corresponds to, and then solve for the unknown. And remember, pi is not a variable, pi is a number, so treat it as such, not as a variable. You're never going to solve for pi. But if you're given the volume and you have to solve for radius, you know how to do that, or, you'll have to be given two of them in order to find the other one. Okay, so our first problem, the volume of a cylinder with a diameter of 3 inches and a height of 5 inches. So I always try and draw a picture so I know what I'm starting with. So it tells me the diameter, which goes through the center from one side to the other, is 3 inches. And the height, here to here, height is 5 inches. 3.14 for pi, round your answer to the nearest tenth. So they tell me to look for volume. So it's the first thing I'm going to write. Hopefully you said to yourself, the first thing you're going to write is the formula. You always start out with your formula. That is your basis. Volume equals pi r squared h. Okay, and I know my diameter is 3, my height is 5, but I need to find my radius. And we remember the relationship between diameter and radius. Your diameter is half your radius, so I'm going to put it as 3 over 2, and I'm going to leave it as an improper fraction because you're not done yet. It's when you give me the final answer that it needs to be as a mixed number. So leave it as your most reduced improper fraction if it is an improper fraction, which it is. We need to find volume, so I know I'm going to always keep my V. I was told to use 3.14 for pi. My radius is 3 halves, and I'm going to square that. So I'm going to put 3 halves in parentheses, and I'm going to put the exponent of 2 outside the parentheses, times height, which is 5. Whoops. I was more worried about my H looking like an N than I was about putting a 5 down. Okay, so now I'm ready to solve. My order of operations, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses first. I do not have an operation inside the parentheses, so I move on to the next one, exponent. I do have an exponent, therefore I'm going to do that first. Everything else gets brought straight down how it is. 3.14 times 3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. That has to go to both of those digits. Times 5. Okay, you can multiply in any order. So I just looked at 9/4 times 5, and in my head I said, oh, can I cross reduce? No, I cannot. So now I'm going to consult my calculator. And in my calculator, I'm going to type 3.14 times 9 times 5, and I'm going to write that down. Okay, so I used my calculator to do all that multiplication first, and then I wrote it down. And I kept the divided by 4 or over 4 exactly how it is, because we do not want magic numbers. We want written down each and every step. So now I'm still going to use my calculator. I'm going to type in 141.3 divided by 4. Okay, I don't have a calculator, so I'm going to actually ask Alexa. Alexa, what is 141.3 divided by 4?
141.3 divided by 4 is 35.325.
And then I'm using my brain to check her. So 14 divided by 4 is 3, 2 left over. 21 divided by 4 is 5. So it looks about right. Always check for common sense, check it to see if it's right, because you could type something in wrong in the calculator. All right, going back to my directions, round your answer to the nearest tenth. That's my tenths place, so I need to look at that one. So my volume is approximately 35.3. My units are inches, and because it's volume, I have to cube them. So my answer is 35 3/10 cubic inches. So hopefully you paid attention to how I want it written and how I want the answer. Okay, so you hit pause and try to do this one on your own. Okay, if you're listening to me now, you have all of your work on your dry erase board exactly the way I would want it, starting with your formula and every step written out. You can use your calculator, of course. I do not need to see your calculations. However, I need to see every time you do an operation on your calculator, you put it on your paper. Did you get the height is about 6 inches? If so, great. Move on to the next slide. If not, let's see what's going on. So we always start with our formula. Our formula, we're talking about volume of a cylinder. So volume equals pi r squared h. And I'm told volume equals 36.9 cubic inches. I'm told radius is 1.4 inches. And I'm told to use 3.14 for pi. So I wrote that all to the side so that I know when I plug in my numbers for my letters, all I have to do is look over there. 36.9 is V, so I put that in place of V. Equal sign comes after my V. Pi is 3.14. My radius is 1.4. That is squared. My height, I do not know. That's what I need to solve for. Order of operations, I have to do this first. So that's what I'm going to do first. Everything else gets written down. 1.4 times 1.4. Hey, Alexa, what is 1.4 squared?
1.4 squared is 1.96.
Okay, and now I know I'm going to do this next. So I'm going to write everything down that I did not underline exactly how it is. Hey, Alexa, what is 3.14 times 1.96?
3.14 times 1.96 is 6.1544.
Okay. I know that Alexa is rounding to the nearest 10 thousandths. So if you are, I know, and I also know this wants to round to the nearest tenths. I do absolutely no rounding until the last thing. Do not round until your last step. If you have to, because you have an irrational number that gives you 9 digits on your calculator, make sure you round 3 places after where you're asked to round to. So I could have rounded this to here because I'm being asked here, and that's 3 places to the right. But make sure if you do have to round, it is many, many places beyond where you're supposed to round for your final answer. All right, so I'm going to keep going here. divide by 6.1544, divide by 6.1544. And I'm going to ask Alexa because I forgot my calculator. Hey Alexa, what is 36.9 divided by 6.1544?
36.9 divided by 6.1544 is approximately 5.9957.
All right, now I have it all done. I need to go back and reread what they're asking me for. Round my answer to the nearest inch. So that means I need to round to the nearest whole number. I have to look at this. 9 is going to cause that 5 to go up to 6. And because I'm rounded, I am going to have to use the word about. This is a story problem where they're actually asking me about the height of something. So the height of the package is about, around, near, approximately 6 inches, period. They're only asking me for the height, so my units are simply my units. Volume, your units are cubed, which is what they did here. Area units are squared. Everything else is just normal. And that's the end.